Hey everybody, my name is Spencer, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing the 1 to 2 player game Dual Powers Revolution 1917, designed by Brett Myers and published by Thunderworks Games. If there's one thing I'm not an expert in, it's internal struggles for power and influence in Russia in the early 20th century. And quite frankly, it's not a subject that's of particular interest to me. But when I learned about how the game is played and saw that magnificent box art from Kwanchai Moria, I said, Tim, I'll give it a try. Tim is my contact at Thunderworks Games. He's a really nice guy. So Dual Powers is in that vein of tug-of-war war games, though I wouldn't classify this as a war game. Heck, I don't even know what parameters are for a war game, so maybe it is one, I don't know. Like every good piece of toast, there are two sides in this game. There's a provisional government representing the official authority of the state, and Petrograd Soviet, an elected council of workers organized by social activists. There's this scoring track on one side of the board where players keep track of their victories. In real life, I use this whiteboard to keep track of my victories. On this game board, the marker will move back and forth based on who wins each control objective. One way to win the game is to get the marker all the way onto your side of the board. The other way to win is to have the marker on your side of the board when the game ends after a certain amount of time. Gameplay is actually pretty simple, just like being an adult. There's the draw phase, where players draw 4 region cards. Objective phase, players secretly choose one of their region cards as a scoring objective for that round. And action phase, players take turns playing a card, advancing the date for that card, performing an action, and taking a bonus action, if applicable. Obviously, it's a little more nuanced than that, but I just wanted to demonstrate how easily the game flows and how, on the surface, easy it is to play. That reminds me, I've developed this irrational fear of large bodies of water over the last few years. With their cards, players can choose to either put units down in the depicted area or perform one of the other various actions on the card, like moving a unit or refreshing a unit, because, units get tired of doing all that stuff that units do. In addition to this being a tug-of-war game, area majority factors in pretty heavily. So after players have done their actions, the round ends by checking 3 objectives. Players will score points based on who controls each region by having the highest combined value of units present. And it's not just their units. There are neutral units that count towards the player who currently has the will of the people. That token can change multiple times per game. I'll get to that in a bit. One of the 3 regions you'll score include an ever-changing region of Unrest. It's like the rooms in my house with our children. The secret objectives the players chose at the beginning of the round are also scored. Rounds will go on until, as I mentioned, one player has moved their marker all the way to their side of the board or time has run out. And that's pretty much the game. There are a few other aspects that I won't go into. I'll leave that to Tim. Otherwise, you've now got a good idea of how the game works. I've got to say, this is quite an enjoyable 2-player experience. Relatively quick, maybe 45 minutes, easy to learn, low rules overhead, but there are so many opportunities for difficult, strategic decisions. You've got to choose your objectives and do your best to make sure you're in control there at the end of the round. But you don't want to be so obvious that you show your hand. There's some bluffing involved. If you fortify a region, you can trick your opponent into thinking they know your objective, and they'll waste time and units trying to win it from you. On the other hand, you are trying to figure out your opponent's secret objective so you can claim it as your own. I'm really bad at that part, about trying to read my opponents in this game. It's just not my forte. The region of Unrest makes things extra interesting since both players know it's going to be scored. There's a very clear target to work towards, yet you still need to reserve your units for other objectives. And then there's the neutral units. Those are critical to winning the game. Whoever has the will of the people gets to control the neutral units, as long as they have one of their units in the same region. You have to do everything in your power to hold on to the will of the people. You can get it by playing one of your leader cards, or being the player that advances the day token to the next month. So that also goes into your decision of which card to play. Each card will advance the calendar by a certain number of days. Maybe you want to pick one that will make the month change so you can get the will of the people. Or maybe you'll play one that will advance the date so that your opponent can't change the month and get the will of the people that way. I tell you what, the state of the board changes significantly when the will of the people switches to the other side. You can have everything in the bag, but end up losing control of everything because your opponent simply advanced the date. Now that element, the revealing of the secret objectives, anticipating what your opponent will play, this game offers many tense moments. I could go on of more examples of tough decisions to make, but I want to go over some other points first. Now, theme is really important to me. It's what leads me to have interest in the game, probably more than anything else. Now, I don't care for history or war or revolution, stuff like that, but in the case of Dual Powers, doesn't matter to me. I mean, I'd probably enjoy the game a little bit more if it was about woodland creatures fighting over forest territories. But it's still fun. In fact, if this isn't a theme you are particularly interested in, I'd invite you to give the game a try anyway, especially if you like 2-player tug-of-war style games. I think the game has so much more going for it than its theme. If you like one-player tug-of-war style games, you're in luck because Dual Powers has an excellent solo mode. It really simulates how unpredictable your real opponent can be in the game. I wouldn't buy the game for the solo mode alone, but it's definitely a nice option for you when you don't have someone else to play with. Honestly, I can't think of anything really glaring in this game. It's balanced, and it works. The only thing you need to be aware of is that this could lead to some conflict in real life if you aren't careful. But don't take the game too seriously, and you won't have anything to worry about. Unfortunately, I feel the game has been overlooked quite a bit. I know I had never heard of it, and it's been out for 3 years. So, hopefully, I've put Dual Powers on your radar for you to check out, because I definitely recommend checking it out. So finally, to show there's weight to my words, I'm giving Dual Powers an 8, awarding it a seal of approval. I'm Spencer Williams. Until next time, thanks for watching.